defending. I think it's like.
Are we live? People, muted. I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in. As you know by now, special guest Mo. What are you saying, man? He's ready. He's got the yellow Arsenal shirt. We know what that colorway is attached to. Good afternoon to you, fella, man. What are you saying?
You clocked it straight away, didn't it, man?
Clocked straight away, bro.
Yeah, man. No, I'm good. I'm good. International break, and we're back to the Arsenal. So I'm excited. I can't wait to watch Arsenal play again because it's good vibes at Arsenal right now. But then I remember who we're playing. I remember where we're playing, and I get the PTSD of all of my previous experiences. And then I think, oh, maybe another international break would be good.
I mean, you said it there, man. The international break's been good. Depending on what happens come minute 90, we might be wishing we had some more. For anyone that doesn't know, obviously, what's the inspiration behind the shirt?
Anfield 89, my bro.
Come on.
That's the one. Like, you know, it's funny because as an Arsenal fan, you come across this all the time. People talk about the Man City one, but, you know, the way they won it on the last day. Nothing compares to this.
Nothing.
And the key reason is because these were the top two teams. You know, Man City and Man United were competing for the title that day. Man City were playing QPR. Can you
The landscape
imagine?
was completely different. We're playing each other.
Can you imagine if Aguero did what he did against Man United? That's what Arsenal did.
At Old Trafford.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Incredible.
You said it there, man. Obviously, let me jump straight into it now. It's Liverpool. I'm looking at the table in front of me. Obviously, they're a long way in front in terms of goal difference, but we're 20 points in. They've got 22. If we win, can we start dreaming of a league title? No, I'm playing, man. What do you feel going into this game, man? What's your initial thoughts? Not of the game of such, because we'll get into it going into it.
Yeah, I just feel nervous, to be honest with you. And also, I feel like I was speaking to a Liverpool fan the other day, and they were quite dejected about the game. So when I asked them the question you're asking me now, they weren't very positive. And I was like, what are you talking about? Pardon?
Why is that?
Because they're not playing as well as they're used to playing. And I was saying to them, like, come on, but you're still brilliant. You're still got the best player in the world. Like, on your day, you can still go and smash anyone. And today, what kind of really made that opinion of mine more concrete, I need to send it to him, is that I just saw a stat about our rolling expected goals versus Liverpool's from the first game to this point of the season. Liverpool are at their worst right now. Arsenal are at their best. So you've seen a bit of a decline. With Liverpool. You've seen Arsenal incline. But even us at our best and them at their worst, they're still above us.
Crazy golfing quality. Yeah,
I think that tells you everything you need to know, that, you know, if you're an Arsenal fan and it was your opposite way around, where we're above Liverpool, we're generally even better than them, but we know that they've got that quality, you might still think, oh, you know, it could go either way. But as a Liverpool fan, they've been above us. They know they're better than us. They know they've got the quality. That I don't think there's any reason for a Liverpool fan to be negative. So it might sound like I'm being a bit negative here, but the reason I mention all of that is because I feel like it's a win-win for Mikel Arteta in a way, or it could be. The only way he could lose is if he gets absolutely embarrassed. If basically if we do what Man United did when they play Liverpool.
Or typically when we play Liverpool prior to him, really.
Yeah, true. Yeah, like the 5-1s, that sort of thing.
Cricket scores more or less.
Yeah, all that Mikel Arteta needs to do is, even if he loses the game, show pride, tactical nous in the performance, and stay competitive, stay involved in getting a result out of the game. And then I kind of feel like it's a bit of a win-win for him. I don't know how you see it, DG.
I feel the same way as you. I feel first thing, the most important point I feel you've made is it's all about the performance. You know, if you lose, go down fighting. I think you can draw some parallels to how West Ham won, and obviously how Brighton got a point. They believed in themselves. They respected Liverpool, and obviously large possession goes to Liverpool. You have to ride your luck. There are heart and mouth moments. You probably are going to concede, but they still, you know, doubled down on what they can do. I feel we're a bit defeated when we play big teams in that we might lose we might have lost, for example, 4-0 last season. We might lose 3-0 this year, and we'll focus on that, the fact that it was one less goal rather than just turning up. And I feel as much as when we play these teams, we sit there and we talk about the individual mistakes. So just force them to their maximum. You said Mo Salah's the best player in the world at this moment. Let us go out there and see why. If he dances past 7 people, that's not going to happen week in, week out. We can just sit there and applaud it. Like when Messi beat us up at the new camp, all you could do is applaud it. That's what I want. And it's like you said, it's a win-win. You can't lose in that. I want to keep the form running. Obviously, we're going to have probably an angry Liverpool because they've been dropping points where the league's concerned. So I'm hoping that, you know, we raise it. You know, we still have an unbeaten record. Obviously, if you win, we're not dreaming of the title banter aside, but it gives you something in terms of the top 4. And for me, we've got to make it to January, bro. It's like it being November is irrelevant. We've got a big winter, and then in January, you know, the games are tough. We've got people going off to AFCON. I don't know what's going to happen in that regard. So it's a test. And for me as well, I'm pretty sure you've seen it as well. There's been incidences in games where it could have went left, you know, against Spurs, against Villa, against Leicester, and you can't afford to do that against Liverpool. It needs to more or less be perfect. Like West Ham, they were perfect in what they could control, and then they met them halfway. So that's where I'm at. What about you thinking of the game?
Yeah, look, for me, the West Ham game has to be something that we watch, that the team watches and knows what they need to do. On corners, they were very, very suspect. Now, that's going to bring out a reaction in Liverpool, and they will be focusing on corners. So a lot of people would say, I think a lot of people would say, look, they are going to make sure that they're doing everything in their power to stop that becoming a theme. If they drop points 2 games in a row and Arsenal hammer them with corners and show a weakness, other teams will start doing it, and they'll be inviting a lot of pressure on themselves. So they're going to be very motivated to kind of like send a message out there that, no, that was a one-off. That was an anomaly. But Arsenal have to go and at least ask that question of Liverpool. Put someone in front of Alisson, make life difficult for him. On his Instagram story, he put a picture of him claiming a corner. This is after the West Ham game, so I can't remember what game it was. Maybe it was international duty or something, of him claiming a corner, catching the ball, and then saying, oh, it's easy to do when you're not being fouled. So it's still living in his head. And what I'm saying, someone needs to go on him, someone not very nice, maybe a Gabriel or someone like that, and say, hey, call me Antonio.
Yeah, literally. Let's exploit that 100%.
Exploit it, yeah. You know, you've got to do some of the dirty things. And I feel like Mikel Arteta is quite good at the dark arts in terms of what he's bringing to this Arsenal team. Yeah. And I want, like, you know, not giving the ball back against Watford. Not nice. Not nice.
But not necessarily out of illegal. It's not etiquette, but it's not illegal, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And would I say that we should be doing that? No, I think Arsenal should have passed the ball back.
Facts.
But in hindsight, am I secretly glad? Of course. Because we got the 3 points? Yeah, of course I am.
9 times out of 10, we're the team that gives it back and ends up conceding.
Exactly, yeah. So anyway, all I'm saying is let's go and do that against Liverpool, provided we show that nous and like a real desire to do what we need to do to win the game. Some of the cheeky fouls and, you know, being a bit
less, a bit horrible.
Yeah, being a bit horrible. I don't want us to go and roll over and have our belly tickled like United did. You know, you were saying make Salah prove that. Oh man, my camera's sorry.
Still hear you.
Yeah, make Salah prove that he is the best player in the world rather than making it easy for him. That's what I'm saying.
That's it. And it's like you said there, and it's on that topic. It's like, obviously, a blind man knows what Liverpool are about. You know, you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's a fantastic playmaker, let alone fullback. You know, Temiskas is in good form. You've got a bag of quality. So I think we need to respect the art of defending and just know that you're in for a big day. There's no easy games in the Premier League. Yeah, it's been good. We've won games where, let's be honest, against Watford, we didn't have to do much. We were rarely sort of troubled. I know if I can't even remember who, but if Josh King swears it, we're sitting here and saying something different. Yeah. I think we need to relish that. We're in for a long day. You know, they're going to have the 12th man. You know, their players can play lovely balls over the top, daisy cutters, anything. Van Dijk, any sort of pass Van Dijk wants, he can do it. So no, we're in for a big day. Clear your lines and no, it's a team game. And for me, if you can see that, I always say that in these big games, if you go a goal down, what are we going to say? What are we going to be about? Because that's the first bit of quote unquote significant adversity. So that's that for me. What do you make of it from a tactical point of view? Because I'm sure you've had this debate. what are you on? Like, are you keeping the same formation? Are you flirting with a back three? Are you dropping Lacazette, maybe going with one? Are you dropping Aubameyang? Where are you at from a tactical point of view, man?
Boy, that's a really, really difficult one, because you, on one sense, you kind of say, look, Arsenal are doing really well right now. Yeah, Arsenal are doing really well right now. So you don't want to change something that's working, but you have to respect Liverpool and their style of play. Right now, Alexander-Arnold is on the form of his life. You know, he's just getting assist after assist after assist. We need to stem that. We absolutely need to stem that, because he can put the ball on a sixpence, you know, if you give him time. So we do need someone to do a job on cutting off that supply. So you have to respect that tactical awareness
and their movement.
Yeah, exactly that. But I would trust Gabriel and Ben White to do their job in the middle. Really, for me, this is about, do we add a third centre back in there? So then we can kind of say Tavares or TIERNEY, and then for God's sake, I'm going blank. You know, basically our wing back Tomiyasu kind of doing the job on out wide. Or do we say, no, we're going to keep the two in there and rely on one of our defensive midfielders to
be mature,
kind of step in and try and block off Alexander-Arnold, for example.
And our front men have to do a lot defensively if that's the case as well.
Of course, yeah. I think, in all honesty, what I'm tempted to do is keep our back five the way it is. That includes Ramsdale. And basically put the onus on one of our defensive midfielders, that you're dropping a little bit deeper. When you see Trent stepping forward, you go and make life difficult for him.
Be sensible, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it is quite difficult for Gabriel and White, who have developed a good understanding, good partnership, to all of a sudden now accommodate a third centre-back. And
facts.
I don't know, like, I could easily be proved wrong. I think that if we get battered, people will be saying, what were you thinking? Mane,
yeah, we can't win.
Salah. Yeah, but that's what I'm leaning to.
You're right, and I feel this is a game where if Arsenal don't get anything, I don't think Arteta can win. You know, if he goes out there with a 4, they'll say he's naive. If he goes out there with a 3, they'll say he's defensive. I'm where you're at as well. I don't think our players are quite the street smart, the level of being street smart, and all of these things to quite change things, especially with the dramatics going into this game. I think there's every logic to go to a back 3, and I'm definitely not against it. But it feels like we're just about understanding what everybody's job is in that back 5 unit. To then suddenly change it, as you said, pulling people across, dropping people out, it's a bit crazy. And it's, for me, like I said in my earlier stream, if it was a back 3, who's the third centre half for you? Do you pull Tomiyasu over, put Ainsley Maitland-Niles as a wing back? Do you go with Rob Holding? Do you go with Chambers? Do you go with Marie? Do you do like what you've seen Mascherano do? You get a midfielder and he plays that sort of hybrid role. And I think, how long have we had to train to work on something like that? I just feel if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Saying that, though, against Brighton, I did want us to change things.
But, you know, what I find a bit frustrating, and it's a silly way to look at it, right? But Alexander-Arnold down the right is their huge threat, and I think he's brilliant. It's something we really have to look out for. But in terms of our threat, it comes from our left back. It's not Tomiyasu that's the really advanced, adventurous one. It's Tavares or TIERNEY. So now how do we balance this? Do we say that, no, because of how good Alexander is and how central he is to Liverpool's threat, we're not going to let whichever one of our left backs play go too far forward? If we do that, and we haven't got Tomiyasu being like a huge threat down the right-hand side.
Sitting ducks. We're just going to be in our own half.
We're sitting ducks. I almost wish that, you know, it was opposites, so that there's not that clash on our left and their right, where if I really, really have to answer it honestly, I am more fearful of Alexander-Arnold than I am hopeful of TIERNEY or Tavares in terms of influencing the game. So that means you have to relinquish your threat to respect theirs. So then I kind of feel like we're sitting ducks a little bit. But then now I'm saying, okay, well, if we don't want to do that and we want to allow our left backs to continue with that threat and stay true to our style of play, then we do need to rely on a central defensive midfielder to kind of go out to that side and do the job. You mentioned Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Given his performance against Watford, a man of the match performance, do we trust him to go in and carry on?
Yeah. With the bit between his tooth of starting again and again for Arsenal Football Club. I think you said it there, and I feel what I'm getting is how you feel and I feel is that while we don't have an answer, I guess what every fan would want to see, if we're going to do something, let's commit to it. Now, obviously, we need to respect any threat and we obviously need to go forward, but don't do more so what we used to see under Emre, in that we're kind of half trying to be this great defensive side and we're kind of half trying to commit forward. He gets picked up. Personally, I feel you can't be naive against Liverpool, but I do feel let's actually, I do want to sit back, but I'm starting to feel now we might as well just hit them. You know, sometimes in a fight, rather than sit back, you might as well go out there. And you said it there with the Tavares thing. You know, there's not too many times Trent has to sit back and defend. There's not too many times he actually has to be in his own half. So why don't we go and create some problems for him? You know, Tavares, he's a bit of an unknown entity. I can't imagine Klopp knows too much beyond the obvious about him. Is that an avenue? Who are you starting, Tierney or Tavares? Because saying all of that, though, I might be being a bit biased. I am leaning towards our flying Scotsman on that left-hand side to start. Take nothing away from Tavares. On merit, he deserves to start, much like Maitland, who you mentioned.
What I would say is that the fact that we are even having this conversation is an unbelievable compliment to Nuno Tavares, because he came in with zero expectation. None of us thought he was truly going to challenge Tierney. And he's done so well, so unexpectedly, that actually there's a real conversation to be had here. Right. This isn't conversation for the sake of conversation. It's not like we're struggling for points to talk about.
This is it. We're actually talking about could he play?
Saying, yeah, Tavares is a really valid option here. A week ago, I would have said to you Tavares. But seeing Tierney on international duty...
You saw that as well, innit? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have to go with Tierney. So it sounds really harsh on Tavares, and he hasn't done much wrong. But I feel like if this was Tavares after an extra month or an extra 2 months of playing like this, I'd be saying, no, you have to stick with Tavares because you can't take him out of the team. But let's be honest about what standards we have at the club.
The case study.
I think you have to be playing very, very well for a very long period of time to say that now you can't be taken out of the team. I think it doesn't send the wrong message to Tavares. Mikel Arteta can communicate this in the right way to him. That brilliant start. You gave me a selection headache.
I've got trust in you.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of trust in you and all that sort of stuff. But Tierney's been doing a consistent job for a long time. If you do that, if you play how you've been playing consistently for a longer period of time, when you get your chance, then I'm not going to drop you. But I have to respect the job that Tierney's done, and the same will be true for you. I think that's how I'd be kind of saying it to Tavares to make sure he stays motivated. But for me, it would be Tierney.
Who do you kind of touched on it kind of indirectly. I know Tavares isn't that much younger than Tierney, but in a game like this and with Arsenal's situation, who do you lean more so on? Do you lean on the experienced quote unquote players, if not necessarily through age, the likes of Odegaard and people who are slightly more experienced? Or do you lean towards the Smith-Rowe, you know, buzzing after making his England debut, leading the levels for Arsenal, Bukayo Saka doing the same? Who are you looking to? Obviously, everyone needs to stand up to be counted, but it's like, who are you looking at to make a difference in these games?
It's crazy, but I look at Smith-Rowe and Saka. They're my go-to guys for making a difference, influencing the game, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be other people. But this game in particular, I'm looking at Aubameyang like I've never looked at him before, because after his hat-trick last week against last game out against Watford, and when I say hat-trick, you know I'm not talking about goals scored. I'm talking about goals costed. You know?
Tried so hard not to allow us to score that game,
exactly.
man. One of the best
defenders on the pitch. He miscontrolled.
Oh, that annoyed me so much, man. The
Saka put it in, missed the penalty. So for me, I'm looking at Aubameyang and I'm saying, all right, now you had a stinker against Watford. It's fine. You've been brilliant for us. So that one you get away with.
Yeah.
But now I'm saying to him, put it right in a game where we really, really need you. You can afford for your striker to have a stinker of epic proportions at home against Watford. You can't afford that Liverpool away. So he needs to make up for what he did against Watford.
Former gaffer as well. In Klopp, you should always have an extra spring in your step. And I mean, again, I guess I have to ask you, what would be your formation then, and your starting 11?
Starting 11 would be Tomiyasu, Tierney, White, Gabriel, Ramsdale. Yeah, so there's that. And then I think you have to pack 5 in midfield. Because it has to be Aubameyang up top for me.
Oh, your midfield option is going to be interesting. I'm keen to see.
Aubameyang up top because we have to play on the counter. I don't think Lacazette is best suited to the counter. Let's be realistic about how we're going to play. And in the middle, then I would have Partey, Maitland, Niles. Yeah, for me, that's the respect that Liverpool get. And then it would be the three others would be SAKA, Smith-Rowe, and so yeah, the thing that I'm struggling with here is, do we play Smith-Rowe on the left, Saka on the right, where I feel like generally his better performances have come, and then in the middle go with Ødegaard or someone like that? Because Ødegaard, he leads the press. I think he does very, very well.
He's been out the team as well, so you might have that, you know, spring to your step.
Yeah. Or do I say, actually, no, we play Emil Smith-Rowe as a second striker and go with someone that can carry more threat on the counter on that left wing? So does that facilitate someone like Pepe coming back in the team? I think it's going to have to be the first one that I mentioned in terms of Ødegaard. When I look at Smith-Rowe, he's not rapid. No one's looking at him saying, oh, you're the quickest player at the club. But the way he eats ground is phenomenal.
Speed of thought more than anything, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's already playing on the half turn, he doesn't need to turn and then go. So a quicker player will be a couple of seconds behind him just because of his body shape, positioning, head up style of play.
Bought himself extra seconds in that.
So that's mine. What about yours?
I don't know. To be honest, I still can't pick a formation. I can more pick personnel. I think I need Lacazette. I know that for a fact. I need Lacazette purely because if for nothing more than an hour, you look at how Liverpool progressed the ball, whether it's Henderson, it's probably going to be Fabinho. You need to stop that first ball. And again, force them long. Now, even with the ball going long, we're going to be in problems. You know, if you send a text, there has to be a receiver. So as you said earlier, Trent, Van Dijk, we need to lock that down. But if they try and do that on Tomiyasu's side, if Tomiyasu's allowed to go narrow and they force long balls, I don't mind Tomiyasu in the air. Gabriel, I think they'll eat that up. I do want to see us double up. So I think Smith-Rowe needs to be in. I'd say LACA would be in. I think Aubameyang get the nod. Midfield, obviously, if Partey's fit, Partey plays, he picks himself. I'm torn between Ainsley and Lokonga, if I'm honest with you. Some part of me just wants to lean towards Lokonga, but a part of me does feel sometimes when players are in form or they've been given an opportunity, like what we said indirectly with TAVARES and now with Maitland, yeah, it's a big game, but they have that positive bit between their teeth in that I haven't played too many times. I want to play. I need to put in a performance. And I think it's a game where tactics and whatnot, cliche, but it's going to go out the window. We need to, by the time you get on the coach or whatever to travel to Liverpool, the mindset needs to be different now. There's no laughing and joking on the coach. You need to be prepared there. And I think when you've got someone like Maitland, he probably would be, because you know, if you kind of fuck this up, you might not get another opportunity. Yeah. And especially as we go into January. So I'm not too sure. Part of me thinks, you know what? We've tried this sitting back thing before, maybe with a new look back five, which we have, they might do better. But I just feel Liverpool, you have half a chance when you give punches back. You know, I think West Ham absorbed a lot of pressure, but if they didn't try and exploit that high line, they don't score. Or like you said, if they didn't do their homework on the set piece, you only get a set piece if you get to the other team's half. So again, it's about belief, as you said, and you keep saying it, and I keep agreeing. Respect. You need to have respect for the opposition. They're better than us. They will dominate possession. We probably will concede, but it's about what we do beyond that. And for these young boys, I'm not too sure. You know, I'm happy to see Smith-Rowe, Saka, all of that playing for England. I want them to pick up where they left off. But I do think sometimes when you're in form like this, there's an air of complacency. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't say nitpicking, but I've seen little bits and pieces. I saw it against Watford. You can't do that against Liverpool. It's not. A lot of people are saying Liverpool are there for the taking, and they've never looked as more vulnerable. But we're not getting the Liverpool that played West Ham or Brighton. We're getting a one that's angry, and obviously they've had the international period. So I don't know, man. But I think it's one where I think it's a game of chess, if I'm honest with you. I think I need an hour out of Lacazette, and then I might try something else. But but then you're putting things into my mind that makes me change things. It's like, if you could maybe double down with a Tavares on the left, Pepe, you know, tactically they might be a bit crazy, but they might give you something. And our way sport's crazy. So I don't know.
So you're going with Lacazette and Aubameyang, so that means no Ødegaard.
This is it as well, because that's where I can't decide, bro. Because again, then there's Ødegaard, then there's Smith-Rowe, and it's like you mentioned the pressing. I can't really talk about pressing and then not salute Ødegaard. But then if you go with him, you probably have to drop one of the more industrial pivots members.
But then equally, then if we're talking about pressing, Laka's better than Oba.
This is it. But then Oba, like you said, that's crazy.
If you're going all out to press, then it's Laka and Ødegaard, not Aubameyang.
Yeah, but I think you lose the fluidity out of the team if you make them changes.
Yeah, I think Aubameyang is the killer. We know that. So I think it's proved that over a long enough period of time that if anyone's going to pop up in the right spot, it's him.
Yeah,
so sometimes people say, oh, it was just a tap in, but that is such a rare skill in football to know where to be.
There's literally an art in that.
But you're making me feel like I'm being really harsh on Lokonga as well, because I'm not only dropping Tavares.
It's a squad game, broski. It's a squad game. Not everyone can play all the time. And as much as I feel Lokonga should play, I'm not gonna lie. There's been little bits and pieces in his game, as much as I love him, towards the second halves where I'm sure you've seen Ramsdale shouting at him and whatnot. You can't afford to do things like that against Liverpool. I'm probably giving Liverpool too much respect, as great as they are, but this is where I'm probably leaning on an Odegaard. Like how we just said with Maitland, Odegaard, you ain't been playing. You lost the battle against Smith-Rowe. I'd say Smith-Rowe's been good this season. Last 3 or 4 games is where he's really taken it up. And I think there was a period, maybe the Brighton game just before that, it was looking like, okay, cool, one of them has to come out of the team. For now, it's only one. And then obviously it was Odegaard. You don't want to miss these Liverpool games. Like, respectfully to Arsenal, and he's not bigger than Arsenal, but you've gone from Real Madrid and playing week in, week out Sociedad to not potentially playing against, respectfully, kids if you're Saka and Smith-Rowe to him. If you play, I'm of the belief you want to make sure you play the next game, which is Newcastle. Forgive me if I'm wrong. What do you make of that? Carry on, but after that, what do you make of this?
If you play, you want to play the next game, and that's exactly why, for me, this game is a lot of it is about Ainsley Maitland-Niles, because he hasn't had minutes. Not only has he not had minutes at the start of the season, we all thought, in the transfer window, that maybe his time at the club is done because of that Instagram post and everything like that. Now, he did so well against Watford. I really feel like if he gets the nod in this game, he's going to be thinking, if another man of the match performance, they can't drop me. And then it gets slightly easier. We've got Newcastle, and with a view to AFCON, if he can just put, let's say, a run of 6 games together of solid performances, he goes up in that pecking order considerably. Let's say Partey is going to stay our number 1. I think next to Partey, it could be anyone. Elneny, Xhaka, Maitland-Niles, Lokonga. I think there's a really good battle. Xhaka would have ordinarily been, the first choice for a lot of people, even people that aren't big fans of him. But he's been out of the team now for a long time, and we've been performing very, very well. So that whole Xhaka would have improved us conversation has not been had in a long time. This is a really good opportunity with AFCON coming up and Xhaka not being on people's lips, for Maitland-Niles to say, listen, I'm that guy next to Partey. So I think it's a real opportunity for him.
And you're right. And I hope he plays well. I hope it doesn't disrupt our plans in January, because we still should be buying someone. We can't go back in time, but at the time we probably both would have said we needed a central midfielder or two. You mentioned Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Now, personally, obviously the inevitable question, he's contracted until 2023, whether he's going to be a player here or not. There's certain significant funds Arsenal could raise. Now, do you give him a new deal? I know form dictates things, and I think you do. I think I do, because I just feel it's not a form thing or not. He's a young English player. Well, fella's fairly young. He's English. There's a premium. Don't get in that situation like you did with Eddie, where next summer he can talk for free with foreign clubs in January. Protect your resale value. For the last 2-3 years, you've had offers. Don't let it be a summer where you're getting less than you could have got. So I think do it now, really and truly. But certain people might say otherwise. Where are you at with Ainsley?
100% new deal. Not only is he very versatile, but he adds into that homegrown quota, which obviously has an impact on transfer fee as well. And also, I do still think that there is hope in him in terms of pushing on. I really do. I've seen enough from him to know there's a player in there, but there's something about him. Maybe it's something to do with his agent and the reputation there and that sort of thing. He doesn't seem to be favoured. Now, if I was, a good friend of AMN's, I'd be saying to him, drop your agent and, do everything that you can do to be a more liked person.
You see him doing extra sessions in that, so he's on his way in that regard.
Yeah. But I just kind of feel like, he's not. I don't get the impression that he's in Arteta's favour. Best way to do that, agent or no agent, whatever all of that's going on in the background, and his troubles with his mum and the reputation that it may have been created for him behind the scenes. The best thing you can do is just smash it on the pitch, and that's why, if he's been given that opportunity against Watford, he's taken it. Well done. Continue to do that. But I'd 100% give him that new deal.
You're right in that regards. And I wanted to ask you, obviously, you mentioned him and Xhaka. Now, I've played Xhaka and Ainsley over Xhaka a bit more because I just feel we're at where we're at. But one thing I'll give Xhaka is he's a different midfielder to them. He's significantly more progressive than them. I can kind of see why he's in the team. What sort of midfielder do you see Maitland-Niles developing into?
Maitland-Niles for me is like a very, very tenacious midfielder. What I like about him is the sort of midfielder that, you know, with Bielsa in Leeds, one of his mantras
Tigerish, yeah.
is about if you get beaten, like running back and chasing back. I think very often you see in football, when a man gets beaten, kind of gets dribbled past, that's his defensive phase complete. And Maitland-Niles is one of those players, very unlike Xhaka, that when he gets beaten past, I feel like, I don't know whether it comes out of just good professionalism and hard work, or whether it comes out of a bit of pride and ego being hurt, but he will run back. He'll be like, okay, you've beaten me once, but to really beat me, you've got to beat me multiple times. And I really like that ethic in his game. He has got the flaw in his game to become a bit casual at times. I feel like when he's playing really well, he can make mistakes because
like Lokonga for me.
Yeah, and he needs to stamp that out. But I think he's got that real tenacious bit between his teeth. But can he do that when he knows he's going to start? It's easier to play like that when you don't know you're starting because you're always proving the point. Is Maitland-Niles the man when the point has been proved? That is where he needs to get to in his career. And I don't know if you know what I mean by that.
No, I agree. I agree with that. It's almost like, you know, you work for something in life as much as you want, and you know, you're gonna be tenacious, you're gonna be consistent. Yeah. But the moment you get it, that's what they say in life, you know, sometimes you might not be ready. It's kind of the question that I think personally for me, Ramsdale's answered because I see professionalism, no disrespect to Ainsley, but people are wondering, you know, right now you've been at Arsenal probably 6 months. How is it like when you've been here 5 years or something like that, where there's no significant pressure? You look at someone like De Gea, up and down in his career. Yeah. So 100% I agree with that.
Exactly.
It makes sense, man.
Perfect. Yeah.
And it also, go on.
Tell me this though, yeah. If we get a penalty against Liverpool, yeah, we've got and I'm going to give you a scenario. We've got Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Maitland-Niles on the pitch. And I'm going to throw Maitland-Niles in there because not a lot of people kind of like speak about him. But
I mean, we've seen him.
Yeah. Who would you say is taking the pen?
Well,
and people in the comments as well. Let me know out of those three options. And this is off the back of Aubameyang missing his last 2 penalties.
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah? So you said LACA. Do you say LACA?
LACA, who's never missed a pen for Arsenal. Aubameyang, who's missed his last 2 pens for Arsenal. And Maitland-Niles, the king of penalties. Oof. Who do you want to take that pen?
Do you know what? It's a difficult one because the first thought was Aubameyang. I'm extremely biased to Aubameyang. I know you missed it. You ain't got the best of records, but I'd let you step up. If my life's on the line, probably Lacazette. I think he's got nerves of steel and things like that. I might give it Ainsley. I'd probably say LACA and Aubameyang and then Ainsley, even though he's probably the best penalty taker. On the topic of Ainsley, I wanted to ask you, obviously, we've brought in a couple of young, talented English players. There's Ramsdale, there's Ben White, etc. But when you look at the whole broader term, with the exception of them two and Smith-Rowe and Saka, and you look at the other sort of people who complete our homegrown quotas, half of them are half in the club, half out the club. The Ainsleys, the Chambers, the Holdings, etc., etc. How do you feel about that? And where are you in terms of our homegrown sort of stuff there?
The homegrown one is a funny one because would I be correct in saying even Martinelli qualifies?
I'm sure Martinelli and Saliba at some point qualify. It's a madness, really, how they
Saliba definitely qualifies. Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one at times, you know.
Maybe even Cedric for being here for 5 years or something. I know you can qualify through them sort of things as well.
Yeah, so who the hell knows? So often it's a bit of a game. But someone like Holding, I look at him and I say, you're not playing week in, week out. You're probably not on mad wages, given where we got you from and that sort of thing. And I trust that for a game or two, you can come in and step in and do the job. I don't trust you over 38. So people like him, I think they're actually really crucial in the modern day Premier League
especially if we're in many competitions and whatnot, 100%.
Yeah, especially next year, we've got ambitions of being in Europe again, that sort of thing. Imagine if it's a Conference League thing. I don't want White and Gabriel playing in that. I want it to be someone like Holding and Chambers. So I think they're actually just very important in modern day squads, as much as that might frustrate people to hear, but that's just the game that we play in modern day football.
Where you at with Nicolas Pepe? Obviously today, well, every day really he's being linked with different clubs. He's been linked with Newcastle, Everton, and somebody else this morning. Where you at with Pepe and stuff? Because obviously we've just spoken about how it's a squad game, and you know he was our best player towards the end of the last season. He seems a dead man walking. Where you at with that now, and him potentially leaving?
First thing I want to say before I answer that is I really, really get sick of the way our fans, the way Arsenal fans cover Pepe, the way they speak about
He's
Pepe.
scapegoating now.
Oh man, it's you get some people that go on like he's the best thing in the world, because they're trying to overcompensate and fight this negative agenda people have to him. And then you get these people that just sit there slating him. I see reasonable fans, you know, trying to diminish his qualities and minimize the things that he does. And I'm like, God, where's the balance around Pepe? So yeah, I'm going to give you that boring opinion on Pepe that I wish more other fans would do. And I'd say, look, there's one hell of a player in there. Back end of last season, I think he had a lot of us on our feet. He had a lot of us excited, thinking
First
that he's
name on the team sheet.
Yeah, thinking that he's going to start this season really well. It hasn't worked for him. Mikel Arteta has evolved as a manager, in my opinion. If he's doing a lot better, Pepe hasn't necessarily been on board that evolution. But I trust that eventually he will be, and I really, really want Pepe to, because on his day, Pepe is a joy to watch, and he's got bags of ability. I think we've all seen that. But the absolute crucial thing is Pepe needs to get up to speed with the Premier League.
And
I've seen so many players from other leagues. Cazorla is one of the best examples in more recent times, because when he first came to the league, my memory of Cazorla was him like kind of on the floor asking for a free kick. And then he
Monreal as well. And now look when he left.
Yeah. Yeah, and then some players, they get it. Some players, they realize what they're going to get, what they're not going to get, what they have to do in their style of play to survive. Pepe hasn't got it. I don't think this is about ability. I think this is about getting it, just it clicking in the Premier League. When it clicks, that's when we'll see Pepe unleashed. But until it clicks, and that's where he needs the help of his manager, kind of showing him different moments, you know, in games where he's maybe held the ball on for a bit too long and that sort of thing. And once he gets it, he'll be fine. So I really hope Pepe does the business, because I love him, man. And it pains me to see Arsenal fans speak about him so negatively.
I mean, I agree.
Do you have any hope?
No, I mean, I can't lie to you. I agree with everything you said, but I'm at that point with a lot of things, with a lot of players, even the manager, where the gloves are off. It's like I hear it, I agree with it. But if you stay, all right, cool, let's play you. If you go, then I'm not gonna cry. I feel I've given enough emotion. I feel my emotions reserved for the Smith-Rowes, for the Sakas. I'm kind of tired of these love dramas. Like even with Lacazette, I'm a big fan of Lacazette, but we've been on a serious emotional roller coaster. I know in the last couple of weeks, people have rewritten history and things like that. But that's where I'm at. I think Pepe is a very good squad player. I think people need to make peace with. He's probably never going to be our talisman. He's never going to do anything Mo Salah does. He's going to be extremely frustrating, but he can give us stuff. I wanted to ask you, yeah, so I do like him, but he's contracted until 2024. We've done a lot of talking about contracts, bro. Surely in the next 12, 18, arguably now you need to know what you're doing, because I know Saka has an option, but he's 2024. Martinelli probably has something similar. He's 2024. I don't know if Pepe's got something of similar, but surely in terms of foresight and planning and evolution of a squad, we need to do something, because I can't lie, I would like a right and left winger in addition to a striker if everything was all fair and proper, really.
I've seen that you know, people asked you on your Instagram recently about Sterling. Would you take him? And you said yes, you take him at Arsenal.
Open arms, man.
Now, people have asked me that question before about Pepe or Sterling, and I've said, like, only out of pure bias would I say Pepe. You know, so when I'm saying that, clearly I have to be honest. And yeah, the answer would probably be Sterling. So I look at that and I think to myself, if someone gave us the opportunity to move Pepe on, and we were faced with the opportunity of getting Sterling in, maybe that would be a much better balance within the team. But I just want Pepe to prove us wrong. I want Pepe to prove everyone wrong. I want him to explode.
But it's just the thing. It's like, We've been here now. It's like I want it to, and I do think, funny enough, I do think there's glimpses because you've done it, and I do think your general play has improved. Like you're still flashes in the pan moment sort of player, but I more see you among 90 minutes. I'm seeing better defensive actions. I actually feel he's better, a lot better defensively than Bukayo Saka. That's probably the only thing he's got over him. So there clearly is an ability to retain information, somewhat get it, a eureka moment, somewhat. What I was doing wasn't good enough, but whether it wants to come out consistently, I don't think he lacks professionalism, but it all comes, and I don't want to say mentality, but it's almost like, what is his personality like? Is it infectious? Is he kind of happy goes lucky? Is he one of those sort of players? And I don't quite know. I wouldn't sell him in January though, because I feel, you know, there's a lot of players that could go, but I feel him, probably El Nene, these are players that it all kind of depends on what we're doing in the market. We need midfielders. If we let certain people go, we're in problems. What would you do with Eddie? Because we're approaching that territory now. I'm sure you saw last week it came about that regardless of what Mikel says, he wants to keep it moving. Obviously, Balogun could go out on loan. Lacazette is obviously going to be here. What if he gets injured? Aubameyang's going AFCON. You know, we've got about 5 strikers there, and, you know, there's many different possibilities from now to the end of the season.
You know, like I love watching the youth players, and I always kind of make my predictions on youth players. You know, even in this current crop, I'm looking at some and I'm thinking I've got real high hopes. I really expect you to make it. I picked out Emile Smith-Rowe as like someone that I was convinced was going to make it. I honestly think I was more convinced about Emile Smith-Rowe than he probably was of himself at a point in time. I just saw star quality in him. Saka completely took me by surprise, for example. I did not
you
expect
said that here before.
to make it. Yeah. But Eddie was someone who I thought 100% you'll make it. I felt like he just had that knack of scoring goals, being in the right place. And as far as I'm concerned, I would currently say I got it wrong with him. He's underperformed in the first team compared to how I thought he would perform.
To how he
now,
correlate, yeah.
So I look at it and I think to myself, I know there's a player in there. I really, really feel like in the right, with the right ingredients around him at the right club, whatever it might be, he will get you goals. But he's not being given the faith, and I feel as though maybe he's doubting himself a little bit now at Arsenal. So I think a Premier League loan is what's needed for Eddie. But in terms of his contract expiration, I don't know if it lends itself to that. Do you know when his contract expires?
End of the season. We're in dangerous trouble. If he goes to another Premier League team, we can take it down to a tribunal. You either get, you know, shortchanged like Harvey Elliott, or in the Danny Ings case, when can't remember if he went to Liverpool or left Liverpool, they actually got given something decent to the point where they got a sell-on clause and benefited from the Southampton thing. So it goes down to that. Now, obviously, he can go to Germany for free. And if you're a bit cynical of a football club, you know, a Premier League team that wanted to bend the rules a bit, you make an indirect agreement that he does go to a German team and he joins you the year after. So we're in problems. And that's what annoys me. It's almost like, I don't want to talk about players like they're cattle and things, but it's like, if we're going to be financing and we need money, then every player is an asset. Some players, our academy, that's fine. Eddie might not be that guy. This is as far as it gets. But if you go away and get 20 million and that's given back to us, what could you say? We're very reactive from that. And that's where I'm so passionate about learning from hindsight and having better forecasting skills, because that's what Eddie's got to look at. You know, you're going to go on.
But do you think Eddie could be that guy? Or am I harboring a hope here, kind of myself? Is anyone here with me in the fan base that thinks that Eddie still has potential?
No, you're not wrong, man. The man's what, 22, turning 23. How many guys are the finished product? I don't think Eddie's going to quite be a Aubameyang, but I think he can be a Premier League level striker. The problem with Eddie is, clearly you can see Arsenal haven't got time to waste. We haven't got 5 years to know if you're going to be the guy. You need to be something right now, or you need to get game time. Arteta can say he likes playing you. If your back's against the wall, he's not playing you. So I think he could be, but it's a case of, it's just, we need to divorce right now to become the player you need to be. Who is Aubameyang at 22 years of age? So he might be, I think he does have ability to play to a certain level, but where Arsenal's at, unless they're somewhat like the Greenwoods and Rashford when he came about, I think it's very difficult for these young sort of strikers to look at and say, you're going to get an opportunity. Because as you know, fans are harsh. Fans will love you when you score the occasional cup game. When you miss a goal in the Premier League and the other team go and score, they don't care about young players. The Wolves were coming a bit out for Saka Smith-Rowe before our form turned around.
I think his goal against Leeds summed his Arsenal career up in a way.
Yeah.
Because it was like, on
the whole
one hand,
movement to it,
so sharp. But do you know what? The first action of his in that goal was a header that he was trying to play back to his own player, went straight to Leeds. So it was like bad. then brilliant work rate, really good, sharp play, great touch over the keeper, got himself right in the right spot, and then messed up the finish, but it still went in. And it's kind of like a bit of good, a bit of bad.
I don't know what's going on, isn't it? Like,
but look, I personally, the situation that I would like to see Arsenal in with him is that if his contract expired next year, and we said to him, we're going to put you on loan, and if that loan goes well, this is what we're going to offer you. So you're plotting out your journey with Eddie. There's no point in us facilitating a loan for him if he does really well, and then he won't sign a deal with us. So I think let's give him a real carrot. Your loan here will tell you whether you get this deal at Arsenal. And if he goes and excels and does really well, then that's it. He's got a future here. But, it's very difficult now with him leaving at the end of the season. It's a headache. I don't know what to do.
I mean, for me, I'm looking to sell him in January. I can't lie to you. But, I mean, the romance in me would say, do you know what? If, God forbid, if an injury was to happen, Aubameyang's gone to AFCON, Eddie, gets an opportunity, or Balogun, and they nail it down. And I think January's a very interesting one, especially around our strikers. I'm keen to see what happens, because if I'm Balogun, from a selfish point of view, I'm trying to go on loan and play football. At the same time, you might want to stay because, as I just said, with AFCON and injuries, like at the start against Brentford, certain dynamics might open up for you. Last couple questions. I wanted to ask you, first and foremost, we ain't said nothing about Smith-Rowe making his England debut. What have you made of that? What have you made of his emergence in the first team? From the first time you seen him, as you said, he was someone you earmarked, and now the man's played, represented his country, and started. Like, what more can you say?
I don't have a passion for the national team like I do for my club team. So everything that everyone else is going through right now, Smith-Rowe playing for England, scoring for England, for me, that was just an inevitability. Yeah. From the moment he really got onto my radar, that was just an inevitability. This doesn't surprise me at all, and it doesn't excite me because I care about Arsenal more so than England. So yeah, it is what it is.
Agreed.
This is San Marino. I thought I expected him to get his debut for England this season. I expected him to play well against San Marino because it's San Marino. None of this surprises me. I'm happy for him on a personal level, buzzing for him, really, really happy for him and his family on a very personal level. But yeah, it's not hugely exciting to me. It's exciting for me when he smashes it for Arsenal.
You said it there, man. Do you think there's now becoming a level of expectation, and how does it cope? Because I call it the honeymoon period. I think the Wolves are out for Saka, and they was there. I think they were kind of coming out for Smith-Rowe, and I feel now it's gone from that sort. It's going to go from this sort of, wow, everything he does is amazing, he's adorable, to, okay, cool, you're Arsenal's number 10 now. There's no romance. In theory, there should always be a target on your back, because that's the pinnacle, really.
But is it just me, or did you come across this Emil kills flow thing in at any point this season on social media and stuff?
No. What's all that about?
All right, good. Well, I'm glad you didn't, because that tells me it's not as widespread as maybe what I thought it was. But
what's that about?
So, certain Arsenal fans saying that he ruins the flow of our game, and instead of calling him Smith-Rowe, they call him kills flow.
Oh.
And this was this is his
now look.
We're 11 games in, and this is his breakthrough season. They would have been reaching this conclusion after single-digit games, And I'm thinking, like, wow.
There's no time in football, man.
No time. But I know you and I are very, very passionate about the Hale End boys, yeah?
That's why.
So we might give them a bit more time. But even for, like, a new player, if this was Pepe in his first season, 72 million, I'd be saying, oh, hold on a second, relax, give him a bit of time. So, yeah, I feel like the Wolves were out already as soon as he got that number 10. But for me, I think
too early and all that.
He's done brilliant, and I think that he's actually been our best player this season, because I also count in the 3 awful games that we had where he stood out for me above anyone else.
Standing up to be counted, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think he's absolutely awful. But he will need to make sure that now that people view him as a threat, they will have a plan for him. Like, we're talking about Trent. Yeah, Trent has gone through his difficult period and has had to come through that and retain his threat. Emil Smith-Rowe is going to need to do that in his own way, because now he is going to be picked up by other teams as a threat, and they'll have a plan for him. I hope and I do trust that he'll do that, and I think he will.
Okay, cool. Let me ask you a question. Him or Saka? I know we love them both, but him or Saka?
Saka, because Saka's done it for longer.
Who's got the highest ceiling? Now we're there. This is the reaction I needed, because I can't answer that myself.
You got me. I've asked that question about Ødegaard and Smith-Rowe.
See, even that.
About higher ceiling. And
I
for me,
really
I think
rate Odegaard.
Smith-Rowe. And you get a lot of varied responses to that. But in terms of, because I know it's not the same positions, but you're just talking about a ceiling here. So that you can compare basically any positions, really. I don't know between Saka and Smith-Rowe. I think maybe I have to say Saka purely because of what we've seen so far, because there's more evidence to support the Saka conclusion because he's done it for longer than there is Smith-Rowe. But that's the only logic I can really come up with to answer that. It's a tough one.
I mean, the only answer I have is Martinelli, to be fair. I think Martinelli's ceiling's higher than both of theirs. I don't know, because it's like with Saka, at both of them, really, it's like they did wow me, especially Saka, because he was playing up the age groups. But it's almost like you don't really know how good they are. It's almost like when you could see a young Kylian Mbappe or a young Lionel Messi, you could evidently see, all right, these lot are special. I'm not saying these lot will hit those heights or anything, but it's like, I just can't call it, because sometimes I think, every time I think we've reached a conclusion over Saka, I think he's gone up a level. And for Smith-Rowe, I just feel his intelligence and he's just like a sponge. When you absorb information in life, your potential is endless. So I don't know, man. What I would say is what Smith-Rowe needs to do, and Saka, let's get to a point where you're getting 10 goals, 10 assists minimum. And then we can really start talking about your ceiling and all of this sort of stuff personally.
But the one thing I will say about Smith-Rowe is that if you think you've seen the best of him, you haven't.
You haven't seen a thing yet.
So much more to come from him that I've seen in his youth days that I don't feel like he's shown us on the pitch right now.
His ball carrying for one.
I'm excited about what's left to come from him when he's kind of used to playing at this level, when he's more comfortable playing at this level. Because honestly, man, the guy's special. I really think that.
The one big fear for me with all of these young players, and to a slight degree, the older ones with Gabriel, TIERNEY, Odegaard, if he plays well, is that, Saka and Smith-Rowe, they're in the wow moment. They're just happy to be playing for Arsenal. They can't believe it. I've used to play against these players on FIFA. When they keep playing for England, like, let's read between the lines a bit. Ben White's got to have been thinking about a big club when he was playing in the Euros. Grealish has to have been talking to them City players about what it's like playing in the Champions League. At some point, Saka and Smith-Rowe, I mean, they can tell me they love Arsenal. I have no doubt. But it's easy to love them in your early 20s. When you're 26 and it's a now or never sort of thing, I need to, Pep wants me, or I'm 28, there's got to be a thing there. Henry loved us. At some point, he needed to leave to go win Champions League, and he went out and done that. I mean, is there a fear for you that, I don't want to be a negative nanny, but if we don't keep playing well and keep doing things and showing ambition, that there's a point where, you might lose some? Because I think we're going to lose Gabriel to Real Madrid and these sort of clubs. That's just the natural order of things.
Yeah, listen, absolutely. The problem is, right, you and I are too experienced. We've seen it happen way too many times with players that we love, that we think they love Arsenal. We convince ourselves they're not going to leave. I did that in my naivety of youth. Now, absolutely not. I used to think to myself, all right, well, I have a different level of expectation for Arsenal fans, who play for the club. But the reality is they are not going to waste their careers. No one will waste their careers. So, we need to basically make sure that Arsenal are in a position where we can match their talent and their ambition. And if we don't do that, they'll be gone.
Facts, man. And you said it there. Last question before I let you get out of here. Shout out to you, Ninja. He said, hello, honestly, no bias, Mount or Smith-Rowe. I personally think Mount's ahead of him. He's played more games. His IQ is the speed of thought. All of that stuff's there. But I think if if Smith-Rowe gets to that sort of experience, I'm having Smith-Rowe over Mount. I do like Mount a lot. I didn't really like the criticism he got about his playing for England, or how he was playing for Chelsea at a point. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, listen, I'm in agreement with you in terms of right now. But if I look at 12 months, 2 years, whatever, I'd say ESR. So, in terms of that ceiling, because you have to give Mount a lot of credit for what he's done so far and how he's done it. It's very, very difficult to make that transition from youth to first team. And Mount has done really well. And earlier when I was talking about people saying Emile kills flow, it's interesting that this question has come up because I look at that and I think to myself, what is wrong with people? How can you be so harsh on such a young, inexperienced player?
Living his dream as well, really.
And I've seen Chelsea fans do that to Mason Mount, where, they're going on about him sort of thinking he's the man and being sort of like having this main character syndrome.
Teacher's pet and whatnot.
Yeah, all of that. And I think to myself, man, this kid's just trying to do his best. And, visualization is a very, very important part of, these elite professionals' routines. In the Cricket World Cup recently, I saw a Pakistan player out there in the middle of the pitch, no one else there, just going through the motions, hitting shots with his bat. He then went and performed brilliantly in the match, and it was praised throughout the world of cricket. Other players, they'll do certain things, certain breathing techniques, certain poses, certain things. You'll see it on
even
their
down
face.
to how they put their socks on and stuff.
Yeah,
I know when I play
exactly.
football, I
And
put
they will
all the
do that.
left-sided
Instead of
stuff on
being
first.
hypercritical, especially when it's a young player, for God's sake, man, give him some slack. So I'd say, look, respect Mount. He's been done a disservice by a lot of people, and that's a very good point there. Just because he's a white central midfielder who can score goals, it doesn't mean you need to flipping compare him to a legend.
And
Not
does
every
knee
black
slides and whatnot.
CM is the new Vieira, you know.
Oh,
not
every
every-
week they're the new Kante in the Prem, though. I can't
Yeah,
lie.
exactly. And like sometimes it's just these silly things. If you're small, white, and Argentinian, you're the next Messi.
Facts.
You know, it's like, come on, man, relax. Mount is doing a really, really good job.
Oh, man.
Well done to him. But if I had to pick one for the future, it's ESR.
Facts, man. And last question, as I said, prediction for Saturday. I'm going with 2-1 Arsenal. Let's be a bit hopeful.
I was saying 2-0 Liverpool. Honest prediction.
I mean, honestly, I'd say 3-1. You know, I do think it'll be slightly closer than I'm giving it credit for, or I hope so. I do think there'll even be elements we might quote unquote be in the game. I just think our naiveties and Klopp being angry at what's happened will just make the difference. You got any content coming out today, or for people to look at and whatnot?
No, it will be after the game on Saturday. That's when I do my post-match reaction. I'm heading out to Anfield, so I'll be at the ground. And what I, from an Arsenal hat, I'm thinking 1-1 is what I'm predicting as a realistic get something out of the game, because we are good defensively. Let's keep it tight. Let's limit them. You know, I'm sure they'll get good chances. They'll probably convert one of them to goals. As long as we keep ourselves in a game, we can go and nick something. So I think Liverpool will probably win, but if Arsenal come out of that with a 1-1, I'll say brilliant. That's I'll take that. And if we do lose, and even if we get battered, what I would say is that we're 10 unbeaten. So I'm not going to be getting on Mikel Arteta's case.
No, you know what's gonna happen, bro. You know, it's everything else is irrelevant. You know, fans can. It's so funny how when everything's going right, everyone can keep perspective and tell you 10 games unbeaten, this many clean sheets. The minute we lose, no one's gonna give a crap about that. It's just like with the Brighton result. We drew against Brighton, where maybe tactically we could have done better. We were poor, yes, but we have to imagine that that's a decent point. People were saying, Arteta, it can't last. You saw all the papers, the Palace game, they were saying it can't last. Now they're saying we're gonna get top 4 and do the rest of it. And really, last question, just because I got it here and I didn't answer. What two in one? How do you feel about Arsenal's European chances now? And are you scared going into the new year? Because obviously AFCON, the games are coming thick and fast. There probably will be injuries and many twists and turns and bumps and bruises.
No, I'm not scared. I think we have got people to come in and do a job on a temporary basis. We haven't got, reliable 38 game players in abundance like Man City do, for example. But who the hell does? It's very rare. Even Liverpool, as good as they are, they look at their squad and say we need more. So yes, Arsenal are the same, but I'm not scared. And I actually think that we've got a very good chance now of top 4, because look who we're competing against. We're 3 points behind West Ham. They're not out of reach, so we're competing against them. We're 3 points ahead of United, Brighton, 4 points ahead of Tottenham, who have obviously got a new manager and they'll get their wind in their sails. But all of these teams, there's no reason why I look at them and think that, Arsenal can't compete against them.
Facts.
So I'm not even talking about Champions League here. I'm talking about let's just get back into that Europa League and finishing 6th. Right now, we're 5th, in and amongst all of these teams. I think we can do the job. And if we lose against Liverpool, it's all about the bounce back. How do we react to that? Newcastle at home, and we've got Everton and United away. And this is why I focus on these 6 key games, starting from Leicester away, Watford at home, then Liverpool, Newcastle, Everton, United. Because we know there's going to be disappointment in there somewhere. We're on a good 10-game unbeaten run. Is that going to dent our confidence if we get battered at Anfield? Or are we going to say we go again, win against Newcastle, and then take points out of those 2 away games against Everton United, who are teams we're going to be competing against? These 6 games will tell us everything we need to know. But I'm hopeful and I'm positive now.
I mean, you said it. And do you think that's more, is that a question that you'd say you'd want Arteta to be answer more than the players, or the players to answer more than Arteta? Because obviously I want my manager to be able to answer that. But the way you just spoke and what you just said, I hope and I would love that you know, the players are thinking like that, because me or you, we don't get paid to talk about Arsenal or anything like that. That's these lots' jobs. They're going to be obviously more self-indulged than that. They have more access to any analytical data than me and you could dream of. If me and you can have those thoughts, then surely our captain, surely everybody that plays week in, week out has that. So would you more want to hear an answer like that from the players or Mikel?
Well, you know, I'm not one to really care too much about the talking in any case.
Facts.
In terms of carrying that mentality, I want that to be the players, because, you know, I think Arteta deserves respect and credit for his turnaround. I really, really think, not that I'm convinced that he's the guy, but right now I am completely off his back, because
Give flowers where it's due, yeah.
That he can adapt. I always used to criticize his man management skills. And now, ahead of Liverpool away, I'm talking about Maitland-Niles coming back into the team after that Instagram post. Remember? You know, I think Arteta used to be a hard ass for the sake of being a hard ass, to try and exert his authority and that sort of
Trying too hard to overcompensate. Yeah.
Like dropping Aubameyang, publicly criticizing him on the day of the North London derby last season. I don't see that manager anymore that is like sort of like destructive in his relationship with players. A bit more
diplomatic now.
Yeah, I think Arteta has come along quite a bit. So I'm looking at the players now saying that, look, if we get battered against Liverpool, are you carrying a weak mentality that overrides this run of 10 games where we've done really well? Or do you kind of say, no, that was a bad day at the office, I know what we're about, and the 10 games is reflective of that, and on we go again? That's what I want to see from the players against Newcastle, Everton and United, if it goes badly against Liverpool.
And I second that, because again, it shouldn't, for me, no, it's not a singular game sort of thing. Every game's gonna tell a picture. We were not at the best against Watford, but we got those 3 points because of this Liverpool game. Now, as we've spoken about, you know, try your luck against Liverpool fundamentally. You know, you never know what happens if you just try. And as you said, them fixtures, we don't travel well to Old Trafford. We lost at Goodison. Newcastle, they're fighting for their lives. There's a new manager that, you know, the chairman's publicly come out and said he'll be backed in January. If you're a player at Newcastle, I'm going to think, oh, crap, you know, my spot might be gone. So I hope we rise to the challenge. In January the 1st, I'm sure we've got City. So we've got no time to feel sorry for ourselves if we lose. We've got no time to think we're better than we are if we win. Let's just take it game by game with the carrot of trying to survive the winter and get into the new year, see where we're at. And then hopefully come May, we're on to something, man. But Mo, it's been fantastic having you here, man. I mean, we've spoken about everything. Obviously, people, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to Mo's YouTube channel. When this is on YouTube, obviously, he's going to be added in the title. All you have to do is click that. On Saturday after the game, obviously, I'll give him my review and things. So make sure you check out his channel. He's got a whole bunch of other creators as well. And you've got a, quick plug, man. Plug yourself, man. I know somebody spoke about it. I've seen your content with Hugh. What's that about? When's that coming? How frequent is that? How can people add that to their schedules?
Yes, I've sitting down with Hugh doing a podcast, not just about Arsenal, about football in general. And we branch out, man. It's not one where we limit ourselves, and we're not shy to talk about other topics. So we go into things in detail, not to suggest that we care about these things. Don't take it as a reflection, because we were speaking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and we're talking about society, what's going on there with his latest picture. And just talking about it, just going into detail, having more of a deep dive conversation and anything surrounding football. So it's not that we think that's the most important thing going on in the world, don't get me wrong, but it's of interest. And once you start talking about these things, well, actually, yeah, you can dive in a little bit. So it's quite an insightful talk, and we get into the detail, have a mature conversation about it instead of like one-liners or just taking a mic or trying to be too funny. It's a thinking man's conversation. So I quite enjoy it. We've done our first one. Thinking about every fortnight, we'll be doing that, me and Hugh. So whatever comes up in the world of football, who knows? Next time we might be talking about the fact that how easy it is for the British media to confuse one black man with another when it comes to the issue of rape, even in spite of a club crest being so blatantly different. How does that happen?
Is that even a legitimate mistake, or is it all coordinated? I don't know, man.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we'll be looking at things like that. So yeah, check it out, and it's quite interesting. I certainly find it interesting having the conversation. So hopefully people watching it find it interesting as well. And you won't agree with us week on week. Sometimes you'll think like, can't believe they said this. I can't believe you said that. Like DG, I got a bit of criticism because I was talking about the Dominic Calvert-Lewin issue, and people were expecting me as a Muslim to put my Muslim foot forward. But I wasn't doing that.
I can see how
Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not Muslim. Why would I be talking about a Muslim framework of thinking when that doesn't apply to him? Yeah. So it's interesting. It will catch you by surprise, but yeah, check it out. And Hugh's a great guy.
And what platform is that on?
That's on YouTube, and Hugh has made sure that it's available as a podcast as well. So I'll have a better answer for you next time, because I'm not fully versed myself with that answer.
I mean, people, I'm sure you've all got Spotify, Apple Music. It doesn't hurt to just type in either of their names or both of them and see if they're there. Pretty sure it's on YouTube, so you'll find it on Hugh's channel or Mo's. Just make it, add it to your calendar, innit, people? But yeah, man, I keep saying I'm going to let Mo go. I'm actually going to let him go now, man. I appreciate you for giving up some of your afternoon. Hopefully we win. Peace out, my dude. Safe.
Take care, man. See you.
Safe. Take care of yourself.
You always use that active red light defenders. I think it's like.
I can't lie. I said I was going to go. We have gone, you know. Shout out to Mo for doing that. But people, anyways, in 25 minutes, I'm going to be playing Football Manager. So, yeah, make sure you're all there. P, don't think I never saw that cheeky little comment from you about Destructive Manager. Pussy, oh. But anyways, in a bit, my guy. It's all love. So, yeah, at 4 p.m., which is, again, if you're watching this on the replay on YouTube, there is nothing. You make sure you're subscribed on Twitch and you'll never miss a thing. Shout out to the Twitch gang. But yeah, it's currently 3:35 on this fine Thursday. As I said, 4 p.m. Let me close this live stream. Go and start that one up. Make sure you're all here. Appreciative to everyone who's been supporting the thing. Go make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube and also Mo. Yeah, I'm out for real now, people, man. It is what it is. I'm safe. I'm out.
Against this right back, Charlie.
Oh!